All right, another fragrance from the house of Jovoy, and this one is for the ladies. Can you guess what it is? Strap up, let's go for that ride.
Okay, dinner for two. I watch that head move side to side as I let this in into the room. You are on time, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. Today from the house of Jovoy, we are talking about Gardez Moi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That does not sound French at all. Okay, let's look at this description real quick before we dive into this fragrance. This is an elegant femme fatale with a Parisian soul and legs that go on forever. This powerful woman is made her intense femininity a formidable weapon of mass destruction. From Paris's Palace Vendôme to Rue de la Paix, she walks casually and nonchalantly on dagger-sharp stilettos. Heads turn as she passes. The opulent white flowers in her wake make even the boldest look away. So we're dealing with a potential white floral boss chick type of fragrance. Interesting, because I don't normally associate boss chick with white florals. Those typically tend to be soft and angelic, but let's see what we're dealing with here with a initial impressions. For those of you who haven't seen my video on how to spray a test strip, definitely look that up. I find a lot of people not spraying their test strips correctly. And I do get that white floral in the air, almost like a really, I don't want to say really expensive, but just a nice quality shampoo, white florally type of sweetness. Yeah, I mean, this smells like, my mom gets her hair done sometimes in California from a guy named Kim Vo. He has a salon in Santa Monica or something like that, off near Hollywood. And I went in there and saw them getting their hair done, and sometimes it takes hours to get their hair done. This would be like the shampoo they used. I remember when I went in there recently to visit my mom, at the front they had the whole fragrance line of Balmain there that you could just kind of spritz up for free after you get your cut or your dye or whatever type of hair healthcare you were getting. Afterward, you could just get some free fragrance on the way out. And so this might be something you would get your hair shampooed with. Ton of white florals. It's soft, it's powdery, it's earthy in the sense that these are very natural florals. There's absolutely nothing synthetic about it. And yeah, this just is almost a hairspray, hair shampoo in the most angelic, white floral, sweet way possible. But it is a familiar scent, I think, to women. This sits, again, I find that women, and I only have my wife as a frame of reference as far as recent times, but I find that women like two scents in particular. One that's very loud and boisterous and boss chick-like. Typically, it could be sweet or spicy or floral. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just very robust, loud, hey, I'm in the room. And then there's other women who soft spray and like to be very angelic and natural and more of a subtle whispering sillage type of scent that typically tends to be more earthy or natural, no synthetics to speak of type of vibe. And this feels somewhere in the middle. Again, I get a shampoo slash hairspray vibe, almost purely white florals. But when I think white florals, for instance, on the unisex slash male leaning side with a fragrance like Initio's Musk Therapy, which the musk, I think, is what drives the masculinity into that fragrance. It's like injecting white florals with just a ton of masculine musk. This one is almost just injected with more white florals. And so it kind of adds to this softness, this powderiness. There's even a little bit of wetness in like just the earthy rendition of white florals. Picture like white florals dipped in water, and then when you pull them out, that breeze that you would get is kind of like, they're very breezy white florals. But yeah, it does kind of just feel like an expensive shampoo or hair product in the most white floral way possible, but it is quality. Because it's so high quality, it would be something to consider. Jovoy fragrances, typically you can get them online somewhere between like $130 and $200. So I think for women who traditionally, I don't know a lot of women that have a ton of fragrances, but women typically have a couple of their go-to expensive fragrances, and then they just mainly stay in good hygiene, and their soaps and body butters and shampoos typically make them quite fragrant to begin with. But this looks like a bit of an upgrade from that, just a tiniest bit. Let's switch screens here and look at the makeup of this fragrance. We're not using Fragrantica because Jovoy has a wonderful site, so we're going to make use of that. Head notes is going to be a tomato leaf, cyclamen, coriander, aldehydes, black pepper. Certainly get some aldehydes in that white floral combination. Gardenia, jasmine, mimosa, ylang-ylang, lily of the valley, styrax. And then in the base, raspberry. Very interesting, achieved by styrax, musk, vanilla, oak moss, and cedarwood. This is mostly like the heart notes really sing. I don't get distinct raspberry at all. I just get a bit of sweetness. You don't get the tart from the raspberry or anything fruity. This is a floral driven bouquet of white florals with sweetness added by raspberry. A very fresh earthiness to make it feel like you really just pulled the bouquet out of the ground type of vibe. I don't get the pepper or the coriander, mainly just maybe aldehydes, the jasmine, ylang-ylang, lily, gardenia. And then in the base, I don't really get any of this. Maybe just a tiny bit of musk, tiny bit of vanilla. The raspberry is not very distinct. Okay. This is a any season, any reason. Very fresh. In its freshness, it's still robust and pungent, I would say. It's not like a weak fragrance, but it's a soft fragrance. And I find that with more expensive fragrances, they have the ability, due to raw materials, to be soft yet still loud. It's loud in its whisper, if that makes sense. This leans, again, I think because it's middle of the road, it kind of has its boss in its own right, but in the most natural, angelic way possible. I don't feel like the fragrance lines up with how they describe the fragrance to be like just a fearless boss chick. No, this is like a heavenly woman laying on a cloud type of fragrance, but super floral driven. Any season, any reason. I think women, 4 to 8 sprays, whatever you feel comfortable with. The heavier you spray this, it's still a soft fragrance. Just might add to your longevity. It does remind me a little bit of Gardenia from Chanel Exclusive line. It's just a good fragrance. I give it about an 8, just because it's average in its DNA, but because of the raw materials, I give it an upscale bump because it does feel expensive for what it is. I wouldn't call it luxurious. I would call it natural, angelic, soft, slightly sweet, slightly wet florals, white. It does kind of reminiscent itself of some, like a good shampoo, But yeah, it's just slightly above average due to its quality. I do think for a woman who doesn't like loud fragrances or like fragrances that are super complex and stuff, they just want something simple to throw on, this would be a very easy wear for that kind of woman. Occasions, this is just casual. This is a complete casual fragrance. It has an expensiveness to it. I shy from calling it upscale casual, though, because the upscaleness, I don't know if you would dress up with a fragrance like this. So women are always generally dressed up. I mean, I wouldn't wear this to the gym, ladies, with your Spanx on. But if you're even just decently dressed and up, this is a casual vibe type of fragrance. Just something to put a little oomph in your step, and it's pretty good. Sound off in the comments and let me know if you guys have put your nose to this. Again, I do think it's somewhat worth it, but I also think that you can get pretty close to this in a slightly less quality way with a lot of Bath and Body Works stuff, or even just shampoos, expensive shampoos and stuff like that. But it's definitely a complimentary fragrance to that natural style. Like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. We do drop episodes every single day. And let me know if you guys have put your nose to this or if you have any other questions about the fragrance. Again, this is Jovoy, and this was Gardez Moi. And I give it, again, a 8. Nothing, not a loud 8. Just a little boost into the 8 category, slightly above average just due to its quality. Okay. Hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week. And until next time, be easy.